This is the new Lotus Emira, and it's a little bit like a budget Ferrari F8 Tributo, because what you have here is a mid-engine sports car that looks rather like the Ferrari. However, because it starts at £60,000, it's actually a third the price of that Italian supercar. Now in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about this new Lotus. I'm going to talk you around the design, the interior, I'm going to see what it's like to drive, and I'm going to hoon it about a bit, because I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching Carwow. Buy, sell, Carwow. Let's start this video by talking about the engines. So you'll be able to get the Emira with two choices. One is this. It's a 3.5 litre supercharged V6 from Toyota. Puts out 400 horsepower and 420 newton meters of torque. It drives the rear wheels via a 6-speed manual gearbox. Can do 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds or hit 180 miles an hour. You can actually get this engine with a torque converter auto if you're completely stupid, so don't do that. The other engine choice is the 2 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol from the Mercedes AMG A45S. In that car, that engine produces 421 horsepower, but Mercedes has down-tuned it for Lotus. So here in the Emira, it puts out 360 horsepower and 430 newton meters of torque. Drives the rear wheels yet again, but by an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox with launch control, and the result of that means it's actually quicker to 60 miles an hour. The AMG powered car can do 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, though top speed is slightly slower than the V6 at 176 miles an hour. Now, which engine would you go for? Put a pin comment and I want you to vote to let me know. Now I'm going to launch the Emira to see how quick it is at accelerating. Normally, what I do is measure the 0 to 60 and 70 mile times using my specialist timing gear. But unfortunately, Lotus won't let me do that today here because I'm filming at their test track in Hethel, Norfolk. Maybe that's for another time. Anyway, what I'm going to do is a cheeky little workaround. So I'm going to use this camera here and I'm going to launch the car, and then you can use your stopwatch to measure how quick it is. Now this car is actually a left-hand drive, so it's reading in kilometers an hour. So you need to look out for 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, which is 62 miles an hour, and 0 to 160 kilometers an hour, which is 100 miles an hour. So I'm going to launch it now. Let's see how we go on the bike. Rev it up. Oh, launch is good. Oh, shifts pretty brutal. Oh, that was a good one. Come on, keep going. There we go. Hopefully you know how quick it is from 0 to 60 and 0 to 100 miles an hour. You'll have to rewind the video and time it again if you didn't do it properly. I have no idea myself, I couldn't see. The Lotus Emira has some pretty big brakes. So you've got 370mm discs at front and 350mm discs at the rear. And compare that to a Porsche Cayman GTS, which has 350mm at the front and 330 at the rear. Both discs are gripped here by 4 piston calipers. Let's try them out. Now let's see how quick this car can stop from 60 miles an hour, but once again, because I'm not allowed to use my specialist timing gear, we're going to have to come up with a workaround. So this is my audio recorder. I'm just going to suspend it from there, and we're going to see exactly how this moves when I brake from 60, see if we can figure out the braking force. Hopefully this will work and it won't break. Well, the car will break, but that won't. So I'm going to get to 100 kilometers an hour, then do a full emergency stop. You'll also be able to see on the speedo how quick it stops from 100 kilometers an hour. There we go. Get to 100. Oh, look at that! Oh, yes! Yes! It stops really good, as illustrated by my specialist audio device. In fact, the speedo couldn't keep up. Unlike many other car companies which have things like adaptive dampers and allow you to alter the settings, Lotus has set up the car exactly how they think it should be. And there's two different setups. There's the Tour version and there's the Sport version. The Sport has slightly stiffer dampers and spring rates. Other than that, everything is passive. You can't alter things. Now the chassis is made out of bonded aluminium and the body panels are composite. The weight is about 1.4 tons, so similar to a Porsche Cayman. What this has that a Porsche Cayman doesn't is hydraulic power steering. There's no e-pass system here, which is good news. Another thing about this car, which the Cayman doesn't have, front double wishbone suspension, which Porsche likes to brag about that it's just introduced on its new GT3. In fact, it's all-round double wishbone suspension, though to be fair, that's exactly the same as on a MX-5. Let's see what this Emira feels like to drive on track. Lotus's test track, no less. Oh yes. It feels so much like a Lotus. It may be heavier than an Elise or an Exige at 1.4 tons, but it still has that sort of like light deftness to the way it handles, and it's so neutral. The steering is so nice. That's one thing about a hydraulically assisted rack. It's just natural feeling, the way it loads up in the bends. Gear shift it's got a solid shift to it. You have to be really direct and positive with it because it's quite chunky, but really ultimately it comes down to the handling and the balance on this thing is so good. So have Lotus built a fine handling car? I guess they have. Now let's talk through the design of the Emira. So the look has been heavily influenced by Lotus's Hyper EV, the Evija, especially the bonnet design with these vents. But all the vents on this car actually serve a purpose. For instance, those let hot air out from the radiators, and it also lets air escape over the windscreen and the roof to improve aerodynamics. The vents down the side here, smooth airflow over the wheels. Speaking of which, regardless of which version you go for, you get 20-inch alloys as standard, though the design does change. These are the top of the range diamond cut alloys which you get on the first edition model. You can actually change the colour of your brake calipers. This car also has the black pack, which includes a contrasting black roof. Do you know what? From the side, it really does look like a mini F8 Tributo, doesn't it? If it was in red, it definitely would. Anyway, more vents here. Once again, real, feeding air into the engine. Speaking of which, when you come around to the back, you can look through the glass screen and you've got a powder coated plenum, which is really nice. What's also nice is there's no fake exhaust. These are real, completely real exhaust. Well, actually there's exhaust surrounds, the real exhausts are in there, but still they're quite large. I like the fact that the surrounds have the Lotus triangle just etched into them there. Then there's a diffuser, which is real. It does improve the airflow and aerodynamics of this car. But the best bit about the back of this car, the vents here, where you can actually see the tyre through them. That's just like on the Evija. In fact, if you want to see my video of the Lotus Evija, click on the pop-out banner up there for the link in the description below. One of the things that's always let Lotuses down in the past, when you compare them to something like a Porsche Cayman, is the fact that the interiors were just a little bit basic and not that well made. Well, that has completely changed now. The interior of this Emira is really impressive. And we've got leather everywhere in this car, and it's two-tone. You can change the different colours as well. Just feels really expensive. I'm amazed what they've done. And you've got the tech as well. So you've got a big digital driver's display, big central screen here as well. Now, I think it's a little bit dark in terms of the colour schemes they've gone for, but the main driver's screen, you can cycle through different information, control your stereo. You can also have your sat nav in there, but you're not going to be using normal sat nav. You're just going to plug in. Well, actually, you're not even going to plug in because this car has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which are wireless, and you get full widescreen for your Android Auto. You don't get that on many cars, to tell you the truth. Sometimes they cut it off with little black bits at the side. Really impressed with that. I'm also impressed with the feel of the materials, like Alcantara on the steering wheel. They can have leather, got a little center stripe there, which you can have in different colors, which is ideal if you're on track a lot. Yeah, it just feels really nice, and it's practical as well. So look, right, you've got some decent sized door bins, which will fit a big bottle. You've got two cup holders here of different depths, depending on what size of coffee you go for, and you can fit the big bottle in there as well. There's place for your mobile phone just under here like that, which is good. Oh, I hit the stereo controls. Speaking of which, you do have physical stereo controls. You don't have to do it through the screen. Neither do you have to do the climate controls through the screen, because you have physical buttons for that as well. And I particularly like this touch. Look, little person there showing where the airflow going. They have a helmet on. How very Lotus. Other things are like, oh, the gear knob. Just feels really expensive. Anodized aluminium. You got a little flap covering the starter button to make it feel even more sporty. Speaking of which, these sport seats are really nice, and the driving position is great as well, with loads of adjustment in the steering wheel, which you don't often get in sporty cars. Tell you what, you also don't often get in sporty cars, and that is decent practicality. So you've got some more storage under here, two USBs there. There's another USB just under here as well. You've got a decent sized glove box as well. Look at that. And behind the seats, there's some more storage. These are the top of the range 12-way electrically adjustable seats, but as standard you get 4-way electrically adjustable seats. This car also has the upgraded KEF sound system with 10 speakers. As standard, you get 7 speakers. Now you might be thinking, do you know what? I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to buy myself a Lotus. And if you're going to do that, you probably need to sell your current car. And to do that, you should sell it through Carwow. What you have to do, click on the pop-out banner up there, follow the link in the description below, and upload some photos of your current car, give a brief description. Then our dealers will bid on your car to make sure you get a great price for it. And they'll come to your house, take the car away, and put the money straight into your account. It's dead easy. If you want to do that at a later date, just simply Google "Help Me Carwow" and we will help you. Let's continue with practicality, because that's what really matters on sports cars like this, right? Now it does actually, because if you want to go on a holiday, you need enough space for your suitcases. So I'm going to actually see how big it is by trying to get into it. Yes, ultimate boot test. So yeah, I can sit in here, but it's only 151 litres. If you need to carry lots of stuff and you want a rear wheel drive sports car, you might want to check out a Ford Mustang, and you can watch my full in-depth video review of that car by clicking on the pop-out button up there, or follow the link in the description. And that brings me on to 5 annoying things. 5 annoying things about the Lotus Emira. Piano black plastic may look all shiny when it's new, but it scratches really, really easily. I mean, look on this particular car, there's already some very, very visible scratches, and I will just do my head in. Because this car has a mid-mounted engine, there's nothing under here, which means there's storage space, like on a Porsche Cayman, right? No, there's no storage under here at all, unfortunately. I don't know why, but Lotus hasn't given the driver their own vanity mirror. If you're buying a two-seater sports car like this, you're probably quite vain. I mean, even the Dacia Duster I came in today has a driver's vanity mirror. What's going on? The location of the reversing camera leaves it quite exposed to road grime, so in the winter that's going to get covered in muck, and because there's no actual inbuilt washing system like you have on some cars, like a Nissan Juke for instance, you're going to have to get out of here and then wipe it with your finger in order to be able to see where you're reversing. A lot of two-seater sports cars get Isofix anchor points on the front passenger seat, but not here, not on the Emira, no. Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. The infotainment screen shows some key performance data, so you can monitor your tyre pressure, which is really handy when you're on track. You've also got a G meter, and you can see your power, torque and boost figures, but also, look, we have a lap timer, so you can see how well you're doing when you're going around a circuit. If you go for the sport chassis of the Emira, you can choose between either having the Goodyear Eagle F1 tyres, which are more road biased, or Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s, which are more track biased. They're a no cost option. If you're going for the manual version of the Emira, you're clearly a total petrol head, and so you're going to love what they've done with the gear linkage. Look, it's visible. That is so cool, isn't it? You're just going to sit there looking at that and oh. Let's find out if the Lotus Emira has a soft limiter. So go on, start it up. Give it some revs. Oh, what a shame. Actually, there's a way around it. All you have to do is depress the clutch. Now rev it up. Yes! Oh, yes! Oh, thank God for that. You can upgrade this car to have a driver's pack, which includes a torque sensing limited slip rear differential, which is handy if you want to around. So this new Lotus is definitely good fun, but you know, I was expecting that. It's a Lotus, right? What about using it as a daily driver? It really is easy to live with. The first thing is the interior, it's just lovely. The fact that you've got a low dash also means that you get great forward visibility, just like in an Elise really. But this is a much nicer cabin to spend time in, and for just general daily driving, it's easier to live with than an Elise. Be that getting in and out of it, or just, you know, pootling around. The suspension in this car does that thing where the faster you go, the better the ride quality gets. This is where the Emira really shines. A twisty country road really has that Lotus DNA in it, the way it steers, the way it's just balanced through a corner, the way you got lots of grip, and the way it just deals with horrible British bumps. It's got that Lotus magic. So then what's my final verdict on the new Lotus Emira? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the Emira. It really is bloody lovely. Well done, Lotus.